James Clear, author of the book Atomic Habits, indicates that an atomic habit is a small, regular practice or routine that is easy to perform, but has the potential to have significant impact over time. The term atomic emphasizes the tiny, fundamental nature of these habits, which can compound into remarkable outcomes when consistently practiced. James Clear argues that habits are the backbone of any pursuit of excellence. He states that the holy grail of habits is not a single 1% improvement, but 1,000 of them. The effects of small habits compound over time. A slight change in your daily habits can guide your life to a very different destination. Making a choice that is 1% better or 1% worse seems insignificant in the moment, but over the span of a lifetime, these choices determine the difference between who you are and who you could be. If you can get 1% better each day for a year, you will end up 37 times better by the time you are done. What matters is whether your habits are putting you on a path to success. Habits are simply reliable solutions to recurring problems in our environment. Habits are mental shortcuts learned from experience. Building habits in the present allows you to do more of what you want to do in the future. All behavior is driven by the desire to solve a problem. One of our greatest challenges in changing habits is maintaining awareness of what we are doing. Change always starts with awareness. You need to be aware of your habits before you can change them. People who make a specific plan for when and where they will perform a new habit are more likely to follow through. The 5 big ideas that James Clear presents in his book Atomic Habits are: habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. If you want better results, then forget about setting goals. Focus on your system instead. The most effective way to change your habits is not to focus on what you want to achieve, but who you want to become. The 4 laws of behavior change are a simple set of rules we can use to build better habits. They are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Finally, he argues that our environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. James Clear's first big idea is that human habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. It is only when looking back 25 or perhaps even 10 years later that the value of good habits and the costs of bad ones become strikingly apparent. Slight changes in your daily habits can guide your life to a very different destination. Achieving a goal only changes your life for the moment. The counterintuitive thing about improvement is that most people think we need to change our results. Results are not the problem. What we need to change is the systems that produce those results. James Clear's second big idea is that you should forget about setting goals and focus your attention on the systems that you need to follow to reach your goals. He said that goals are the results you want to achieve, and the system is the process that leads to those results. He said that the only way that you win is to get better each day. He indicated that goals are good for setting direction, but systems are best for making progress. Goals create an either-or conflict. Either you achieve your goal and are successful, or you fail and you are disappointed. A systems-first mentality allows you to be happy anytime you are making progress toward your goals. James Clear's third big idea is that the most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. You have to decide who you want to be. Once you have decided the type of person you want to be, you begin taking small steps to reinforce your desired destination. James Clear states that true change is identity change. The more deeply an action is tied to your identity, the harder it is to change. The focus should always be on becoming the type of person that is consistent with your identity, not in getting a particular outcome. Each time you practice the violin, you should say that you are a musician. Each time that you work out, you should say that you are an athlete. James Clear says that there is a simple 2-step process for change. Decide the type of person that you want to be, and second, prove it to yourself with small wins. James Clear's fourth big idea is that there are 4 laws of behavior change that, when implemented, makes it more likely that habits will lead to consistent behavior change. They include: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Law 1. Make it obvious. This law is about designing your environment and cues so that the desired habit is clearly prompted. For example, the simplest way to apply this strategy to your habits is to fill out this sentence. I will do this behavior at this specific time, at this specific location. Being specific about what you want and how you will achieve it helps you say no to things that derail progress, distract your attention, and pull you off course. One of the best ways to build a new habit is to identify a current habit you already do each day and then stack your new habit on top of the other habit. This is called habit stacking. For example, after I finish eating dinner, I will put my plate directly into the dishwasher. Habits like I will read more are worthy causes, but they do not provide instruction on how and when to act. You must be specific and clear. Law 2. Make it attractive. The second law of atomic habits is to make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become a habit. If you want to increase the odds that a behavior will occur, then you need to make it attractive. One of the most effective things you can do to build habits is to join a culture where the desired behavior is the normal behavior. Nothing sustains motivation better than belonging to the group. It transforms a personal quest into a shared one. The more appealing the habit feels, the more likely you are to do it. James Clear suggests pairing something you need to do with something you want to do, so the overall experience is more attractive. An example of making it attractive is to listen to your favorite podcast while completing a task that is repetitive and boring. The third law of atomic habits is to make it easy. If you want to master a habit, the key is to start with repetition, not perfection. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes. The idea is to make your habits as easy as possible. To start, anyone can meditate for 1 minute, read 1 page, or put 1 item of clothing away. A new habit should not feel like a challenge. The habit must be established before it can be improved. It is better to do less than you hoped than to do nothing at all. You don't need to map out every feature of a new habit. You just need to practice it. The more you repeat an activity, the more the structure of your brain changes to become efficient at that activity. Habits form based on frequency, not time. The most effective form of learning is practice, not planning. Human nature is to follow the law of least effort, especially when deciding between 2 similar options. We naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. The more energy required to do a task, the less likely it is to occur. The fourth law of behavioral change is to make it immediately satisfying. Our brains have evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over delayed rewards, and the cardinal rule of behavior change is, what is immediately rewarded is repeated, and what is immediately punished is avoided. A habit needs to be enjoyable for it to last. The first 3 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it easy increases the odds that a behavior will be performed the first time. The fourth law of behavior change, make it satisfying, increases the odds that a behavior will be repeated. James Clear's 5th big idea is that habits are highly influenced by our environment. Our environment is the invisible hand that shapes our human behavior. Physical environment is one of the most overlooked drivers of habits and behavior change. Habits are often triggered by what is obvious or available to you in your current environment. Our behavior is not defined by the objects in the environment, but by our relationship to them. Think in terms of how you interact with the spaces around you. The idea is to create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. You can invert this principle and prime the environment to make bad behaviors difficult. For example, if you watch too much TV, then you could unplug the TV after each use and take the batteries out of the remote to make it more difficult to turn the TV back on. The greater the friction, the less likely the habit, the lower the level of friction, the greater the likelihood of building the new habit. Sometimes success is less about making good habits easy and more about making bad habits hard. Now that you have a better understanding of atomic habits, you may be asking yourself how you can implement some of these ideas to create winning habits for you and your business. You just learned that change comes from small, consistent habits, not drastic change. Change always starts with awareness. You need to be aware of your habits before you can change them. For a habit to become real, you need a habit plan that states what you are going to do, when you are going to do it, and where it will take place. The more specific you are, the more likely you are to succeed with your new habit. To sustain a new habit, it needs to be obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Habits are most likely to be successful if they are frequently practiced. You need to build habit momentum, but never in the wrong direction. You can only miss completing your habit one day because if you miss 2 or more days, then you have a habit going in the wrong direction. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes. The idea is to make your habits as easy as possible. Time has nothing to do with the adoption and mastery of a new habit. It is all about frequency. One easy way of creating and sustaining a new habit is to stack it with other habits that you are already successfully doing. As you heard, lasting change comes from focusing on your identity or who you want to be. If you want to be a supervisor who promotes safety, then your identity should be closely aligned with the identity statement. I run a safe and reliable operation. If you are truly committed to safety, then you will create habits that support your identity, such as having weekly toolbox safety discussions with your team. One of the most effective things you can do to build habits is to join a culture where the desired behavior is the normal behavior. Nothing sustains motivation better than belonging to the group. It transforms a personal quest into a shared one. Finally, if you want to build good habits, change your environment to make your habits easier to do. Habits are easier to build when they fit into the flow of your life. A stable environment where everything has its place and purpose is an environment where habits can easily form.